Hello there, everybody. This is Allan Feldman from the Laguna Woods Democratic Club. Thank you for taking your time to watch. Welcome to the fifth segment of the program we've been doing called Black in Laguna Woods. If you've watched this program before, you know that usually what we have is a group panel of three residents who live in Laguna Woods, in the Laguna Woods area, and they talk about their experiences, their opinions, their feelings about what it means to be Black in Laguna Woods. And we're going to do something a little bit different today. It's going to be, we still have three people with us who are going to talk about things. But last week the Laguna Woods Democratic Club recorded our March meeting. And our speaker was the Reverend Dr. Joseph Dorsey, who actually was recommended to us by one of our panelists today, Dr. Fran Williams. So Dr. Fran, thank you. I think we were all, I know I was really taken with Dr. Reverend Dorsey's talk. Not only was he a great speaker, I compared it to music. That's what it felt like to me. You fell into his rhythm, and he just pushes you on and drags you along, and you want to hear what comes next. But beyond how well that he spoke and how captivating his speech itself was, so many of the things he said were just plain thought-provoking. And really, I don't know of a greater compliment you can give somebody who's giving you a talking to a group of people than saying, well, man, it really made me think. That thing you said really made me think. So what we're going to try to do today is, with the three people that we have, is we're going to throw out some of the things that Reverend Dr. Dorsey said, and ask people what do you think he was saying? What did it mean to you? So let's get started right away. We have three people with us. They've all been with us before. So if you could very briefly just tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself, and we'll go going right away. I'm going to go from the left of my screen to the right. So Dr. Fran Williams, you are first. Just tell people who you are.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Yes, I'm Dr. Fran Williams, and I'd like to make a brief correction, if I may. His name
Certainly.
is Charles Dorsey, not Robert.
Charles Dorsey.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Yes. And I am a long-term resident of Orange County. All of my adult years have been spent here in Orange County. I describe myself as a community advocate. Professionally, I'm a child psychologist. And I am also a member and a part of the church to which Dr. Dorsey is associate pastor. That's about it for me in terms of who I am, and I'm a member of the club.
Okay, and Sandra Fairly, tell us who you are.
Okay, I'm Sandra Fairly, and I have lived in Laguna Woods about 2 years now. I have lived in several places in the country. Grew up in Detroit, Michigan, came to California, studied at UCLA School of Public Health. I retired and moved to Georgia because it's cheaper, but I came back 2 years ago. I stayed in Georgia for 18 years. I came back 2 years ago to be closer to my grandchildren. And I did live for a few years. I lived in Altadena, California, and I lived in LA, and I did finish the last 12 years in San Jose, California. I'm a microbiologist by training, public health specialist in infectious and tropical disease. And, but I went to work in the biotech industry and worked from everything from a bench scientist to a director of a small manufacturing plant involved in diagnostic testing. So I have quite a cross of different, and I worked in research at times. So a lot of experience dealing with people and different people of different ethnic groups and working in different kind of communities. So,
okay, thank you, Sandra. And Gloria Williams, just a bit about yourself, who you are, and just a little bit about yourself. Gloria, we can't hear you. You're muted, Gloria. There we go.
I'm a mother of 5, a retired social worker. My experience has been in medical, public welfare, and retired from school social work, 40 years as a school social worker. Child of the South, born in Alabama, raised in Texas, married someone from Indiana, moved there, lived there until I moved to Southern California. I've been here in Laguna Woods. I'm into my 3rd year, and had lived in Indiana for 55 years and moved here to be close to family. I'm at the point in my life where I can brag to be 85 years old and enjoying life, and I decided I would just retire and watch the birds and the bees, and have done everything but that since I've been here. I'm a member of CORE, AME Church. I have joined African American Heritage Club. I was going to sit back and watch what they do, and they made me an officer right away, and they worked me very hard in that club, and I enjoy every minute of it. And recently became a member of the Democratic Club, so that too I look forward to. And
Okay.
as I say, I've lived through quite a bit, so kind of opinionated about the subject. Okay.
Good. That's what we want. Yeah. So obviously we have 3 people from all over from all different parts of the country, been in all different parts, 3 people of great accomplishment from all different parts of the country. So I want to get started. And first, I want to make sure everybody knows, I know you know, but people watching, that the opinions people give here, they're their opinions. They're not representing any club or organization. They're telling you what they think, their experience, their feelings, what they think. And Dr. Charles Dorsey's talk wasn't based on, I'd say it was built around, put it that way, the writings of W.E.B. Du Bois. Now, I know a lot of you know who he is, but if you don't, he was a 19th and 20th century scholar, intellectual, writer, activist. He was the second person of color in the United States to receive a doctorate, a PhD, first from Harvard. His book, well, he's wrote many books, but the book that Reverend Dr. Dorsey, I think, was speaking about primarily is a book that's very famous to this date and still very influential, called The Souls of Black Folk. And I'm going to start right where Reverend Dr. Dorsey started. He posed a question to us. He posed a lot of questions to us. And the first question he posed was, how does it feel? How do you feel waking up every day and being a problem? And Sandra, I'm going to go to you first. You're on the hot seat first here. What do you think he meant? Who is the problem? Are you the problem? Am I the problem? And what is the problem? So you go first and tell us, and we'll go around the table here, around the Zoom.
Well, I think he was saying that he has been asked, what does it feel like to wake up being a problem? And, I think he meant a number of things. When he says, some people ask us, what does it feel like to be Black? And he's translating that to mean a problem. And it is a very thought-provoking analysis that he does about problems. I think ultimately what I got is that we are all the problem. And if we're not the problem, if you don't see yourself as a problem, you really are a problem.
Yeah.
So,
Gloria,
riddle,
how about you?
I just remember one of Dr. Charles's quotes, and that was that if you can see the problem, it exists. If you can't see it, it does not exist. And my take on that is that there is a problem, because for me, I can see it. So that makes it very, very real. I think there are people who don't see it, whether it's due to self-imposed blindness or maybe environmental or what happened in the family. They just never realized there was a problem. So for them, it doesn't exist. But I can truly say, I think I recognized it very early in my life, and I still see it on a daily basis almost, unfortunately.
And Dr. Fran?
I agree with what both ladies have said. I also am reminded when you're trying to solve a situation or you're trying to solve a problem, your first step, you're advised always to identify that the problem is there. And so if you see the problem, you've at least taken the first step in solving it. If you don't see a problem, then that in itself is a problem.
Yes.
And I think at this stage, I call it the fourth quarter of my life. I've come to a place where not only do I identify that there's a problem, I'm often making conscious decisions about what I do and how and if I'm going to address the problem today. And if I decide that I am, how will I do it? What will be my method? What will be my plan of attack?
Yeah, so it's every day. You get up every day with it. When I'll just stick my 2 cents in here too, if it's okay with you guys, because I thought, as Sandra, I believe you mentioned, you talking to all of us. I thought he was talking to all of us. And when I think of it in terms of being not a person of color, who's the problem? Well, are people of color the problem? They've been subjugated for 400 years in this country, politically, economically, socially. And that can cause a problem for you, but I'm the problem because people like me have been doing the subjugating. Not me personally, I mean, but people have been doing the subjugating, and you got to that to me that's the problem that I need to work on when I wake up in the morning. If I don't see that problem, that's, as you were saying, Dr. Fran, if you don't, and Gloria too, if you don't see the problem, you don't see the problem. Well, that's what I see. Anyway, that's what I think. I want to go on and talk about what you guys think, and I want to go on and we'll go around the mulberry bush here again. And Gloria, I'm going to start with you on this. Something that Dr. Dorsey said also, which I found really, really interesting and compelling. Talking about these problems that we have, the problems of race relations, problems of the way people get along, and he said that he felt this was a problem of the soul, the problem of people's souls. So again, I want to ask, what do you think? What do you think he was talking about? And how is it a problem of the soul? If you agree with him, maybe you don't agree with him. So Gloria, if you want to start that.
I totally agree with him. And I think the only way I can really explain my reason for being in total agreement is just to say personally, when I first felt that my soul was sort of under attack, I didn't recognize it as such at the time, but it had to be at age 18. I'm not going to give you that long story, but the fact that up till that time, I had lived with the knowledge of being a Black person and some of the things that had happened that I think I was denied because of that. But basically, it had a very, very happy life. And it was like, what is happening to people? But when it came home and it happened to me after about 18 years of happiness and a great upbringing and wonderful time, having had 1 year of college. And it was in a situation where I felt very protected because I was with church people. And the treatment that I received as a result of just being Black was a painful eye opener. And I may say I didn't really get the full brunt of it at that time, but as time went on, I understood. So that, and the fact that I've lived all this time, and you talk about the ebb and flow, and I have seen so much flow in terms of racism. I made a statement when someone asked me recently how I felt about the George Floyd situation, and I said I was pained and appalled, but not nearly as shocked as I should have been. So I think that what Dr. Darcy said about the soul, I think our souls can become bruised, maybe that's the term, as we go on, and then we not lose faith, but our faith and our hope, as I said, it ebbs and flows, and then sometimes it has just been so damaged that we wonder, will it ever end? And I think about, I guess it was Fannie Lou Hamer who said she was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I don't necessarily have that feeling, but it is. And I think Dr. Charles used the word just fatigued sometimes. And it becomes a laborious job to try and explain who you are, why you are. And you're just a person, attempting to live your life. Fortunately, I think some of us are in positions where the bruising and the pain does not color our everyday lives. We push forward, but I think push forward with the burden of a bruised soul.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. And, Dr. Williams, go to you next. What do you think he meant by that? And what does it mean to you, a problem of the soul? How do you feel? How do you feel about that?
Pretty much the same way. I think what you have here is a panel of women where we're in the same age range, not exactly the same age, but we are cohorts in many of the experiences that we've had. One of the things that makes it diverse in looking at us and listening to us are areas of the country and instances of violence or discrimination or racism against us as a people and what we experience through that. When you talk about our soul and talk about the attack, some of us, I know for myself, I am so gratified and so heartened to see young people like the likes of Dr. Charles Dorsey, the likes of an Obama, the likes of my son Jeff, all of whom are in that same kind of age range where they are approaching many of the things that we, the older members of our community, have experienced and have come away with manners of dealing with it, to the extent that speaking for myself, I know starting from a position of anger and real gusto and fighting back and talking about how others have imposed things on us, to now to a place where we've become pretty much desensitized to many of the things that have happened to us only because we've experienced it before. And I think therein lies the tragedy, that we have experienced all of this before, and here we are now into would I consider again phase 3 or phase 4 of our whole struggle for existence in this civil rights issue, primarily with the Black Lives Matter movement being a continuation of the civil rights movement, and looking for a kind of acceptance of a group, of a culture, that I've never seen justification for. So looking at the soul of it, looking at the heart of it, and looking at where I am from a Christian perspective, and how I'm living my life, and what I do as a result of so many different things, big and small, that happen to us simply because we're a member of this particular ethnic group. It's very disheartening at this point and at this stage, but it is also very, very heartening when I see young people in the age group that I've mentioned. This is the first time we've seen so much and such great response from a variety of other ethnic groups saying, in some way, we are suffering the same ill as you. And that's not to in any way overlook the efforts of the Latino community in the 60s, when we were all fighting for some rights for ourselves. So
let me get into Sandra. Thank you very much, Sandra. Let me ask you, what do you think about it?
Well, I interpret soul is an internal. It's you. It's an attack on you as an individual, as well as on your race. And I can't say that I didn't feel certain attacks, not racial attacks, but certain attacks, even as a little girl. People might pick on you because you're skinny, and I was a little skinny girl, and my skin was lighter than most of my friends, and I used to get picked on and called names, and it hurt me to my soul. It made me feel that I was beneath other people, just based on the fact that I didn't look like everybody else. And this was even in my family. My cousins would tease me sometimes, and a lot of times they said they were preparing me. And so this whole concept of race was something I knew from a little girl, and it attacks your heart. It injures your heart. It helps to mold your personality. And so the ones that were trying to toughen me up, they sure did. Because even though I was a little skinny thing, I could talk, and I even read and learned in school, so I could be better than other people, just to be strong, to have something that made me feel strong. And so I guess I credit these people for making me a good student. So the soul is a sense, it's like your ego, it's a sense of your being. And I think Dr. Dorsey was saying that racism and bigotry and prejudice, or whatever you want to call it, it attacks a person's soul. The measure of yourself is attacked. If someone puts you down just because of the color you were born with, or just because of you don't talk like them, or just because you don't have the same wealth as them, it demeans you as a human being. And that's what I think he was getting at. And any solution, any effort must get at that soul, just getting people money or just giving them a job or just saying, oh, we gave you this, or we made sure all your people were employed, that doesn't solve it. That doesn't get at the problem. So that's the way I interpret what he meant by the soul.
Well, those were, I'm sorry to cut you off, but let me tell you, those were three great answers to that question. Really, as an education, just listening to the answers, hearing the question, listening to the answers. But of course, we're running out of time here. We should have done this for an hour. We're going to have to do this again. I don't know if you three will be here, but Dr. Dorsey said many more things that are worth discussing. And the reason I'm going to end it here is because I want people to know the Dr. Dorsey, Dr. Charles Dorsey, first of all, he works out of the core AME church in Irvine, as Dr. Williams mentioned. He's an activist as well as whatever ministerial work that he does. But his talk is going to be the monthly meeting of the Laguna Woods Democratic Club, which will be on Village TV. I believe it's every Wednesday at 2 o'clock for the month of March. And I really want to urge people to watch it. He's a wonderful, wonderful speaker, and he says so many things that are so, as I said, thought-provoking. Some things just make you think. He didn't seem to attack the problems the conventional way that so many people attack. And I think as we heard the three people here talking, you guys talking, it's he attacked it at a different level, kind of like from the inside out, from the underneath out, and it's definitely worth listening to. It really is. So I really would urge everybody to do that. And I wanted to get that, and I'm sorry to take a few minutes away from our time here, but it's obvious that he said so many things that our next segment of Black in Laguna Woods is probably going to be discussing Reverend Charles Dorsey's talk again. But I want to thank all three of you so much for being here, for being so honest and forthright in what you said. And your comments were as educational to me, as informative to me as listening to Dr. Dorsey, and all I can do is thank you for that. I appreciate it greatly. And to everybody who's watching, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you found it interesting. Please watch Dr. Dorsey's talk on Laguna Woods Democratic Club monthly meeting, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Village TV. And we will see you soon. Thank you all for watching, and thank you three of you again once more for being here. I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate it. And have a good day.